March 8 is always a very high-profile event, and most of the people don't know what's really about and why are the women marching for.
Feminism is an economic, political, and philosophical movement. Its principal objective is the emancipation of women, the pursuit of equality, equity, and deliberate justice. Feminism observes, analyzes, and through intersectionality, the system that oppresses the reality of women. So why is the word feminism so uncomfortable for some people, and what do we mean by intersectionality?
Everything started in the 18th century in France. Beside intellectual movements like French Revolution and the Enlightenment, during this period citizens advocated the use of the reason in pursuit of liberty, equality, and justice. Before that events, the Belgians had problems with the noble people and the church. French had spent a lot of money in independence of the 13 colonies, so French people were in an economic crisis. After several meetings with the three states, and thanks to the fact that power was now in the hands of the third state through the General Assembly, and it's important to say that all the women were excluded. They created the Declaration of the Rights of Men and the Citizen. However, it's interesting the fact that when the document talks about the men and only concerns the men and not the woman. And for that reason, only the Church proposed new initiatives for the inclusion of the woman in her text, the Declaration of the Rights of Women and the Female Citizen. The most important feminists of that time were Marie Wandsworth and Olive George in France.
History always comes with misogynistic and sexist speeches. The sexism is defined by a set of sexist ideas, attitudes, and behaviors that aim to establish or maintain the dominance of men over women. These types of thoughts were driven by the ones of the most important philosophers to the era, like Engels, Schopenhauer, Kierkegaard, and Nietzsche. They theorized about why women should be excluded. Thanks to Marx and Engels' discourse on the Communist Manifesto, 19th century women realized that the situation of slaves was similar to their own, which led to emergence of the suffrage movement, whose goal was to give women the right to vote and equal rights. The Declaration of Sentiments by Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton was the first text on women's political rights, including voting, holding public office, joining political parties, and attending political meetings. Other important milestones include the founding of National Association for Women's Suffrage by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony in 1868. Wyoming becoming the first state to recognize women's suffrage in 1869, and the publication of the Suffusion of Women by John Stuart Mill, a work that contributed to clarifying patriarchal ideology. Simone de Beauvoir wrote The Second Sex, which has considered an explicit text for addressing issues related to female sexuality. As a result, it was censored for 20 years. When it was revisited, it seemed to have lost its relevance once the goals of suffragism had been achieved. Amelia Barcel explains that this is why it's difficult to know where to place this work. Amelia Barcel explains that this is why it's difficult to categorize this work, whether as the culmination of suffragism or as a pioneer of the third wave of feminism.
The third wave of feminism only took into account issues of inequality and sought to resolve the problem with legal measures typical of liberal feminism. However, with the advance of radical feminism, which developed between 1967 and 1975. It was proposed that the problem settlement from a political and social system called patriarchy, defined as a system of a social organization in which key positions of power are held by men. During this period, awards also grieved of the problems faced by other women due to their ethnicity, race, economic situation, and sexual orientation, giving rise to intersectionality in order to find for the different needs of each woman. Betty Friedman became an important voice, and new texts addressing these new issues emerged, such as a Kate Millett, Sexual Politics, and Sulamit Firestone, The Dialectic of Sex.
Feminism began its discourse to obtain rights for white European women. However, today there are uses that go beyond the struggle for equality. These include feminicide, harassment, rape, kidnapping, human trafficking, intimidation, discrimination, and abuse in multiple spaces such as the workplace, school, and family. As mentioned in the third wave, women have their own problems depending of the context which they are born and how they live their lives. Circumstances such as physical, economic, and sexual condition, location, ethnicity or race, religion, and even the use of sexist language and anthropocentric education.
All these issues are addressed on a daily basis, from producing newsletters for women and men to peaceful demonstrations, education from a feminist perspective, and the use of iconoclasm, a term that refers to demonstration or destruction or monuments, sculptures, art, or any icon representing figures of authority for ideological reasons. These techniques are not new, as they have been implemented since second wave of feminism. Finally, the chain of events that the first feminism achieved led to several significant advances in terms of recognition and rights for women, although initially only the issues faced by European women were taken into account. This was merely the key that opened the door for others.